Hello, hello.
What up, though? What up, though?
Welcome back to Blasian Soul Podcast.
We are here once again every Wednesday at 7 o'clock to talk about things going on in the community, to highlight and give flowers to role models, entrepreneurs, minority business owners, and kind of change the narrative that we've heard in the last, man, I've been saying this now, but it's got to be almost 2 years now of the Black and Asian community and the things that's kind of going on, and kind of shed light on different things that are important to us and important to the communities that we just spoke of. It is, it's been a very busy week. I will say that with the
super busy.
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks.
Well, plus kids back to school, and
yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's one thing that is interesting. If you guys would chime in either here or on our social media, how do you guys feel about the kids going back to school with the pandemic, and how has that affected you? It has been difficult, to say the least, for us.
Yes.
Like, I don't let my son ride
Sorry.
I don't know what you're doing.
Trying to fix it.
Leave it be when you lie. Oh,
That's okay. We're human.
But I actually try to pick up and drop off my children as much as possible because I'm terrified.
Well, plus we've been getting notice with the bus and the kids, getting
there's been a few
spread on the bus, and so Marcelo takes the kids to the school.
And boy, let me tell you, I'd be rushing. You have no idea.
I appreciate you because I am not a morning person. So he wakes up with the kids and takes them to the school while I'm still snoring away.
That is one of the things that's kind of going on. We usually touch upon current events, but there hasn't been a lot that is indicative, I think, to our communities, except for, of course, the rising gun violence in Chicago. We're on the outskirts of Chicago and Algonquin, so that one is close to us. It's near and dear to our hearts. But I don't have a simple solution. I mean, the simple solution is to tell everybody, put the guns away, find another way. I don't advocate violence, but when I was growing up, it was if you had a problem
from the D,
big 12, Detroit. But
hey, while you're at it,
oh yeah, you got to cut that off.
Tell them what this is.
If you guys tuned in last week, you guys saw my wife. Well, we were at an event to promote loud culture, but my wife was there for book signing as well. She got a very great response. She got to get up and speak, and we kind of pushed that live last week for our episode. So this is, you have to explain to them in the loud culture.
Okay, so we are from Laos, and in our culture, this is the blessing of the string. And so you wear it for 3 days, and it's a whole tradition. You do the tying of the spring with bad karma go away, good things coming your way. So my husband ended up with a string on his
I was told if I keep this on for 3 days,
that you'll win the lottery.
I would get wealth and prosperity. So I'm damn sure waiting on my wealth and prosperity.
Right, you got that. Well, that's why we have our guests on the show. They are going to show us how to get wealth and prosperity. So
wait, let me just finish that point of thought with the gun violence in Chicago.
Oh yes.
When I was growing up, and I don't advocate violence at all, but if you had a problem with another man, y'all knuckle up.
Right.
Both y'all walk away. You win it, you lose it. Kind of like it's almost indicative of the First Friday movie, where hey, you know what I'm saying, I've lost fights, I've won fights, whatever the case may be, but y'all walked away. Both men walked away, and I think that has been lost.
I'm from E-Town, and so
I'm sorry. What is E? I'm sorry. What is E-Town?
Elgin.
Oh, Elgin is E-Town. Okay, all right. Y'all represent y'all.
I'm from E-Town, but I did get into some fights, and I didn't start them. But yeah, so
I'm gonna get a shirt with E-Town on there.
You should.
I'm like repping
from the E.
In the
You're from the D. I'm from the E.
That is hilarious to me. No, there's a difference. Detroit is indignant. So it's like its own country.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, here's some thought behind our initial guess. Is that a little while ago, everybody.
See, there we got an E-Town fan on here. See?
Yeah, but that's probably friend, family, you know what I'm
They're
saying?
from the
So,
E.
I mean, all right. But we were talking about, a couple of fellows got their stimulus, a couple of fellows was making, additional dollars doing, secondary businesses and all that stuff. So we're older guys. We are 40 plus. And so we're like, you know what? We should start a business. You have a couple of businesses with your wife. They have their own businesses. Let's start a business just with the fellas. Like, bet. That sounds great. Couldn't really think of what we wanted to venture out in because there are problems that occur with logistics and where everyone is and things of that nature. So our thought was until we get to that point where we've thought about a viable business, let's start putting our money away. And I forgot what app I use, but it's an app that you build up money for investing and starting businesses, and everybody has access to it and those things. But it never quite came to fruition. Everybody gets caught up in day-to-day life, and some people had some thoughts about investments, other people had other thoughts about quick flips, and all these other different things. So it's hard to start out and say, okay, I got a couple of dollars in my pocket. I want to have my money work for me, but how do you do that? One of the clients of iLocal is involved in finance and investment, and always has a ton of different things in the pipeline, and things to look out for and invest in, and just having that person who is an expert in his field to kind of give us behind the scenes of what it takes to start out in investing, and how do you get your friends involved, and if you guys do, okay, we got 10 grand, we put 10 grand together, what do we do, and what are you looking at as far as returns, and there's just a ton of things. So instead of me coming out here and trying to be the expert, which as far as financing go, I have no idea.
No, I'm curious to learn more about this.
Definitely. So we're going to bring on RK and Brittany Neely, which are the owners of Secure Capital Investments. And they are minority business owners. They are doing big things in Atlanta and a few different other places that they kind of stake their claim to. So we want to bring them on and first give them their flowers for being a young minority couple that owns a business and are doing things and being role models. But then also let's get some information on, how do you go about making your money work for you? So without further ado, we're going to bring on RK and Brittany.
Awesome.
Hey guys, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Hello. Hi. Hello.
And just to let you guys know, everybody's been ripping and running, so we did.
Yes, we have, definitely.
We did just do audio for this one. We didn't want to get anybody off guard or anything like that. So for this one, we will do audio, but that's the main. I have no idea. I have no idea
Right, what just
what just
happened?
happened.
I'm not sure, guys, but
Sorry, I hope you continue talking, but
no, I actually did not. We could not hear anything. Just technical
oh,
difficulties.
Yeah,
oh
I think
no.
something popped up. We're not in our actual office. We're at home
Mhm.
doing the live broadcast. Usually we are actually in
The
our
office.
offices. But yeah, I do apologize for that. Something went kablooey real quick.
No
But
worries, no worries. Well,
but yeah,
I'm excited to be on your show. I think that it's a great opportunity to talk to people about what's about 80% of our business, which is related to commercial real estate.
okay.
And so most of our investments are around the real estate space, but in that 20%, we also have other business classes, everything from tech to energy and others. So, I could field some questions and talk a little bit about on a lower level how you could start out, what you could do with your money to grow it, what types of investments you should be looking for, and how you go about finding those qualified partners and accredited investors to help you out with the equity for some of these deals.
Sure. Let's kind of start out with what led you to get into this industry. Growing up, was it a thought process that, I want to work with money, or I want to learn how to grow money, or were you just good with numbers? How did this kind of come to fruition?
Uh, exactly the opposite, right? I, being a teenager in the 1980s, it was all about sports and athletics. It was about
Mhm.
traveling. I traveled all around the country, various basketball camps, and a couple of my close friends would go on to play in the NBA and NFL. But it was all about sports for us. I had no idea I would end up in finance. In fact, I was that kid that would have straight A's and a C in math. Right. So
Yeah.
to end up in finance was kind of odd, but I can tell you the origin is my grandfather primarily. My grandfather was born in the 30s, worked in as a machinist, worked for General Motors for 34 years, uh, had an eighth grade education, was not academically advanced, but one of the smartest people I'd ever met. And I watched him because he had 6 children. The landlord tenant laws in the 70s were brutal against the tenant,
Sure.
and so my dad was in Vietnam, my mom was here with me, and so my grandfather bought a house, and that was his first rental property for my mom and I to live in.
Hmm.
And as his kids got older, he would buy the next one a house, the next one a house, and the kids would go live in those homes and work and just pay the debt service, and so they effectively had really cheap rent
Hmm.
the whole time. So that is what really sparked my interest as I got older, and all of my aunts and uncles, moved out and started their lives. He would rent those homes, and I was thinking, if he's making a couple of $1,000 a month from
Right.
from this rent,
Right.
how much is this guy making over here that owns these 50 units
Right.
or 100 units? So that's kind of what sparked the idea, and I started to pursue a lifelong pursuit of information about more real estate and the types of investments that I can get into. And but it started with multifamily back in Ohio.
Now, let me ask you, everyone, there's two different thought process that I know of from people when they think of real estate, whether commercial or residential. Is one, that it is a long-term investment that either A, like you said, you can pass on to your kids, or once you build up equity and things of that nature, rent them out and things of that. But then there's also the quick flip, and everybody wants to do the
Oh,
quick
yeah.
flip because obviously they get money immediately on flipping the house. Can you talk about those different options, and is it really that easy as far as flipping a house is concerned, or would you take the more practical approach of having a house and either keeping it to pass down or to rent out? Because we just sold one of our rental properties, and the reason being is because of the pandemic. Unfortunately, our tenant wasn't able to pay for a long period of time, so we actually was paying a lot of the rent and utilities and all that stuff that goes along with your rental property to keep it up to bear. So we eventually had to sell it because we were, basically we were losing money even though our investment was still there.
Right. Well, I think that that is an issue that a lot of investors are facing in multifamily, or at least in the single family residential sector, where there was a moratorium on evictions, which meant that many people during the pandemic weren't able to pay their rent, and it is. It's sad that you had to end up selling that property because of that.
He didn't want to.
But
No, I didn't want to.
He definitely did not want to do it. But
my thought process, from school and being in the business world is that real estate, owning land, is one of the quickest ways to wealth. So I didn't want to let one of our properties go, but because the person wasn't able to pay, and then not that
you
we
were not able to do an eviction, right?
Exactly.
Well,
yeah, we couldn't do an eviction.
We were paying triple rents,
crazy.
Each month, so
Yeah.
it just got to be crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that based on what you were asking me about the differences, I think that in your scenario, you were a typical investor. It was creating passive income for you, and when it no longer was creating passive income, you wanted to roll out of it because you were purchasing with a cash flow motive, right? And some others may be purchasing with retirement as a motive.
Yeah, that was one.
So they may decide, I'll buy assets, and though the cash flow may be low, I'm accruing a lot of value over time, and when I reach retirement age, I can then sell these assets and have a windfall of appreciation over the life of the investment. So that is one strategy. The quick flip is not an easy process. You have to the margins of error are very thin on these flips. So if you have to buy right, you have to have a very highly competent, scrupulous contractor to work with you. You have to have some experience in purchasing, all of your materials. A lot of these communities where you get the greatest deal are communities where you can't leave your supplies on site. So you have to take those supplies with you. And so when people get into the business, they don't understand there's someone looking out of the window in that neighborhood watching you walk in with that furnace, that hot water tank, those $20,000 cabinets, and when you come back the next day, they will be gone.
Your copper piping is going to be gone as well.
Copper piping. So that's part of the game as well, right? We have to. So getting in the quick flip business, you need some experience. You need a very competent general contractor to work with you, and you need to buy your properties correctly. If you don't buy right, then you've already lost your profit before you started. And if there's one critical miss in evaluating the property, a foundation issue or a plumbing issue or a wiring issue, anything critical, big ticket item like that, you can blow your budget really quickly. So that is a business that you should know what you're doing before you put your money in.
Right. Yeah, that was my thought too. If you're not really a real estate guy, it's not going to be as easy as people think it is. When you hear, I made 60 grand. I only had the house 3 months or 4 months, whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's yeah. If you don't know what you're doing, I think that it's not a sound investment short term for people that don't know how to work with short term investments. So,
Right. You have to have some degree of expertise in any business that you plan to invest in. You have to have some degree of competency. And those that do have studied and learned and been mentored or have used a joint venture partnership model to get their expertise. But I can tell you the most expensive lesson you can get is to be, undereducated and undercapitalized in an investment.
yes, yes, and that's when we were kind of going down that path and asking what everybody thoughts were as far as opening up a business. That's one of the things that I ask is, okay, what expertise, what do you bring to the table? What part of this business that's going to help us grow do you bring to the table? Obviously, for me, it would be the marketing and advertising promotion of any said business. But and a lot of people get stuck there is that, okay, I have 10 grand, I have 15 grand, I have 25 grand that I want to partner with or invest in or start a business. But that's where that thought process stops because they don't know where to go from there. They don't know
Right.
what to do. They don't know what if I do want to invest. Like one of a good friend of mine, when he got his stimulus money, he was like, I'm investing now, and it was in Robinhood, which, don't get me wrong, is a great way to kind of a secondary form of investing, so to speak, in Acorn and things like that. But it's not really investing like you would
Right.
normally assume. So if someone has 15 or 20 or 25 grand, what would be their best step in not necessarily getting a cash revenue immediately, but thinking within 5 to 10 years that investment will pan out?
Well, that's a great question. What I would recommend for small investors, first of all, don't ever invest what you can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
That is the number one rule in my mind for a small investor.
Okay.
So if you have 15 or 20,000, 10,000, there are a couple of places that I would go. Let's talk about first in the real estate realm. I would look at if they like stocks, I would look at real estate investment trusts, what they call REITs. You can invest in REITs. You can get a steady return on an annualized basis. That could be a great place to start. What we do here at SCI, we provide private placement investments for assets that we want to buy. And that could be small apartment buildings. It could be joint venture partnerships with larger investors on larger projects. But we would take in small investors like that, the 10, 15, $20,000 range and up as LP investors, and they would typically make a 7% preferred return and some participation on the exit. So the life of the investment, they would still be looking at internal rates of return in the high teens, low 20s. So there are opportunities for investors to come into projects. It's just having that access, and most of your average person doesn't have access to those opportunities to invest.
Right. And I'm glad you said it's almost like gambling to a certain degree, with your thought process being, don't bet what you can't afford to lose.
Right.
That's
so
right.
I definitely do agree with that. Now, my thing is, as far as you were talking about the return, usually how many years do you see when they really start getting a good return?
Well, I think that if you're going into real estate, and again, 80% of what we do is around commercial real estate and multifamily. So if you were investing in an apartment deal with us, it's highly likely that we're going to hold that asset for 5 years before we reposition it.
Okay.
So in 5 years, we would likely refinance that asset, cash out the principal investment of our investors, and then split the profits after that with our LP investors, with our limited partners.
Okay.
And so that's typically 5 years. It can happen in 3 or 4, depending on what asset you own, where it's located, what kind of value creation has occurred over the whole period. So there's opportunity for those clients of yours and any of the listeners to get involved in deals like that in their own communities, or if they're interested, they can reach out to us by email, and we can get them more information on what we have going on.
Okay. Now, what do you think about the? And this is a little diversion, but the craze of Bitcoin when it kind of, for the last year and a half, 2 years, cryptocurrency was, all the talk, especially with how Bitcoin rose as far as its stock. Now, the last 2 or 3 months, it has taken a severe dip. But do you guys involve yourself in cryptocurrency, or what do you think about that?
You know what? It's odd that you would mention that. We are right now discussing platforming our crypto investments and integrating them with our multifamily investments in a way where we would be able to accept crypto payments for rent. And so we're working with 2 companies. One is Wise Token. And we are one of the founding investors with Wise, and the other one is Praise Token. So giving someone praise. And we have more information. If any one of your listeners is interested in learning more about that and possibly becoming an investor in that, we would definitely like to facilitate that. Although we're not broker dealers, or we don't sell, stock or crypto shares. We do act as a consultant with some of the principals and educate people on how they can invest if they'd like to.
Okay. And we will put your information up not only on the Blazing Soul social media platform, but we also do it for our personal and iLocal as well. So anybody who wants to contact you guys, and they don't jot the information down at the end of the podcast, that information will be throughout social media and our website as well. So you guys will be able to reach out to RK and Brittany as well.
Awesome. I'm excited about that. And any of your listeners, they'll likely be talking to Brittany about it. And Brittany's here. Her voice is a lot lighter than mine. Britt, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you for coming on.
Now, I know finance is a little different and you have to be careful on what you say and what you divulge in public, but is there any way that you can give us a 60-second elevator pitch on your cryptocurrency ventures, or are you not able to do that live?
Yeah, what I can say is that these particular crypto platforms are different, and this is what attracted Britt and I to these particular companies. They actually stake and back their currency with cash, and with a lockbox of cash. And what that does is it limits the volatility and the value of the crypto. So, for example, let's just use really round numbers. If there were 10 million tokens minted, and they only released 12% of those tokens to the market, and those tokens were staked to a more valuable asset, something like either the Ether coin, or to any kind of fiat currency, the dollar or euro or anything like that, the volatility is limited how low it can fall because it's backed by those stronger currencies, right? But it's not limited to the amount that it can go up. And so there were some things about these particular platforms that really interest us, and Britt advised that we look more deeply at it, and so we did our research, and what we're working on right now would actually give us the ability to mint our own coin at some point in the future, as an NFT, right? And I don't want to butcher it, because I don't want your tech guys calling in, your computer geeks calling in. But we've been discussing that.
Definitely.
And I'm gonna be honest. I got scared because I got into Bitcoin when it was at like 40, and invested, I don't know, probably about $7,000 or something like that. And it went all the way up to 58. I'm like, man, I'm gonna mess around and retire in a minute. And then it dropped.
Kept dropping.
Man, it dropped huge. So I sold off, being scared. I sold off half. Well, I sold off half. We still have half. But I have Bitcoin, I have Ether, I have Dogecoin. So I have a few. But
right.
What do you tell people who, because usually investment, you got to be in there for the long haul. What do you tell some of your investors who, they see a drop and they cut bait?
I tell them that, and again, I'm not a financial advisor.
Sure, this is just your recommendation.
Right, this is just 29 years of watching people win and lose in the market. Well, what I always say is the number one rule in stocks is never sell at the bottom. You never sell at the bottom. So if I own 100,000 shares and I bought them for $1 each, and those shares go down to 50 cents, well, I invested in a solid company. The shares went down to 50 cents. I'm going to hedge my position by buying another 100,000 shares at 50 cents. You understand? I'm going to bring my basis down by 50%, and then take the ride with the stock back up. Right? But some people who invest in stocks, they watch the market every day. They're constantly looking at the numbers, and they're driving themselves crazy. I just don't think that you should invest in that way. And if you're investing in individual companies, and you're more of a strategic investor, and you're taking some large gambles, you got some heavy margin calls, maybe you're watching the market a lot more closely, but the average person's not doing that. So that would be my recommendation.
It wasn't watching the market as much as, because Bitcoin is so prevalent in the news. When I watch MSNBC Finance, or when I'm in the hotel and they just got the ticker tape going on, and you see that,
right?
You kind of get paused. And it's not that I lost money, but if I bought at 40 and then I sold at 44, but at one time it was 58, I'm thinking, man, I lost. See how much money I lost. But a friend of mine told me that in stocks, you don't lose money until you sell.
You never lose a dime until you sell.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it's that people should panic. But again, the stock market is more like a casino than anything else.
Right.
I like the assurity of brick and mortar. Okay. I like understanding what my leverage is. I have a physical structure. It has a value. The market has set that value. And the volatility of the stock market is as a speedboat would be. The volatility of the real estate market is like an ocean liner would be, right? And so my risk tolerance is more ocean liner than it is speedboat.
Sure.
So I would encourage people to understand themselves and know their risk tolerance.
That makes sense. That does make sense. People are, the stocks are volatile, and nothing. I bring this up when we have like our 401k meetings each year. Is that nothing is foolproof. So nothing you're going to invest in is just no matter what, it's going to go exactly as planned. So there is a risk involved in that.
And it's a good risk. I mean, there's a risk in going to McDonald's every day, spending $15 and never getting any return, right? There's a risk in a lot of things that we do, but I admire what you guys are doing, educating people, explaining, not just what's happening, why it's happening, how it happens, and assisting those people to get there. So, I really applaud you, and I want to give you your flowers as well. I'm really proud of what you guys are doing.
Thank you very much. We tell people go check out some of our old episodes. We've had everything from attorneys to police officers. We even had an attorney that was involved in his client is one of the main characters in the plot to kidnap the Michigan governor.
Wow.
So we've had some amazing guests on.
Wow.
But you know what? For people who are interested now, you've got their taste buds going, their mouth a little wet for investments and seeing what can be done. What other services do you guys provide as well?
Well, all sorts of mostly financial services related to investment. So we help secure equity for transactions. So, for example, if you had an investment and you had sponsor equity that may be 10% of what equity is required, and equity is the portion that the bank doesn't pay. Right. So on a traditional investment, maybe the bank would bring 70% and you would be required to bring 30%. Well, often in large investments, people don't have the entire 30%.
Right.
They may have 10% of that 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they'll go and look for equity. So they're looking for other investors who are more passive, who don't have the time to run an operation, but want to invest and get returns.
Right.
And so those limited partners or those investors that come even into the general part of the partnership would invest their money as equity, get a preferred return of some fixed rate, 6, 7, 8, 10%, depending on the business. And then they would typically have some sort of promote or participation in the profit side, right? When you exit. Or from revenues, depending on how the investment is structured. So for us, we help people secure that equity. The debt side, we have hundreds of private lenders, hundreds of private debt, institutional debt relationships, family offices who provide equity and debt. And some are direct investment. Some of those family offices invest with private equity firms, and then you would get funds from the private equity firm. So there are a lot of different ways that we can help entrepreneurs and business owners either secure refinance, secure loan originations, find private investors to come into their businesses, a lot of that. And so we do some other higher level structured finance things around bank instruments like standby letters of credit and things like that. But I think that's at a much higher sophistication of banking that I think the people who are just starting out wouldn't need those services.
Now, if someone wanted to reach out to you guys outside of them looking at our social media or our website to get that information, why don't you give those guys an email or phone number that they can reach out to you?
I'd love to. You guys will be actually reaching out to Brittany, who runs everything over here. She's our head of operations, and her email is B as in Brittany Neely, Neely @ SCI financialsolutions.com. And just send over a blurb with your project, what sort of assistance you believe you need. And we'll try and coordinate a call time where Brittany and I will get on a call with you and try and see if there's a there, underwrite the project just kind of on the call, and see if there's a way that we can help.
Awesome. And this is kind of what this podcast is about, is that we've had so many people that has said, we were thinking about starting our own business or franchise. We were at that edge where we were scared to kind of take that plunge, and seeing, other minorities that have started their business and have done so successfully has given them the courage to go ahead and step forward. So you guys are a part of that puzzle where, you kind of see somebody that looks like you and come from the same place as you to, step up and take that plunge and be successful. It gives others inspiration to do so. So thank you guys very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah. And we did it a couple of weeks ago, but we're starting to do like Family Feud and Newlywed Game and stuff like that with all of the couples that we've had on here. So don't be surprised if we shoot a invite out to you guys to be a part of our panel where all of the couples, we do it couple wise. I was going to do it the men versus the women, but that doesn't work out because the men win 82. So we don't want to do that because we don't want to, we don't want to be sleeping on the couch.
Right.
So we do couples where it's a Family Feud and things of that nature, and it gets extremely competitive. I just want y'all to know off the top, I'm a competitive person. So
we're ready.
We would love to invite
we
you
are ready.
And man, we along with highlighting entrepreneurs and role models, but we like to have fun on here as well. So we would love to have you guys back when we do this, and kind of have some fun around the holidays.
Definitely.
I insist.
Great.
I really appreciate you having us, and thanks so much. And if ever I have the opportunity, I'd love to come back on and talk about some of our new investments over the coming months.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
We'll definitely have you. We've had guests come on a few times with different things, and we'll also have Brittany come on as well with her new venture that we'll introduce at the next time we get you back on with your new jewelry venture, right? Because holidays are around the corner.
Absolutely.
I didn't spend too much money on jewelry. I'm not spending more money on jewelry. For real.
Holidays are around the corner.
Right.
Just saying. So, as soon as you launch your jewelry line,
we will have Brittany on. We'll showcase
your jewelry.
I really would appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
We'll have SCI on also. Actually, we'll probably have SCI on when after your website is fully launched and social media is fully launched, so we can circle back around and you can kind of tell us some specifics that you have in the works that maybe people will want to invest in.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
No
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a good night.
All right.
Enjoy
bye-bye.
your evening.
They can't see my face now.
Well, give me a second. You don't like that? Okay.
Anyway,
I've had to adjust this a few times.
That's the women's into it. You don't have to enjoy it. We have a beautiful house that we spend a ridiculous amount of money on, so you don't have to ingest anything. Let them see every part of this house. Thank you guys for spending time with us once again on Wednesday. Sorry, our promos got out. Like I said, this has been an extremely hectic week. So sorry that we didn't get the promos out in time. That probably hit our viewership a little bit as far as the live one is concerned. But we will have this replay throughout the week on Blades and Soul social media as well as our local social media. So if you didn't get to see the original episode, please check out the replay that will be all this week. And then come check us out next week at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. We'll have another guest speaker. We'll talk about what's going on and we'll see whether or not we can put some of these other aspects that I want with the podcast into. She's
What, the
laughing.
dating show?
She's like, no. Remember, I said I wanted like the timeline.
Oh,
you know, all that. So
yes.
we're doing big things.
Yes,
you know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
And if you or anyone else that you know want to be on the show, definitely hit us up. You know, we do this outside of everything else with our business, you know, so we just want to help the community. We want to help business leaders and entrepreneurs. And so send them our way. We would love to showcase them.
Yes, without a doubt. Everybody, as I always say before we get out
Watch
of here,
your six.
man, be safe out there. It's crazy out there right now.
It is crazy. Just be safe. Keep your distance. You know, all the 9 yards. We've lost some, you know, close people. It's getting too close to home. We're knowing people now that are dying with COVID, and so this thing is real. So definitely watch out and just keep yourself protected.
Yeah. You know, the two main points that I always try to get across when we kind of sign off is, number one,
Mm-hmm.
try your best to help everybody else. Everybody else, you know, we're all in this together. You know, I know it's Blazing Soul, and we promote the Black and Asian community, but that's because there was such vitriol for the Black and Asian community
Last year.
going on for so long,
And still
that,
going on.
yeah, that it was either I was going to get pissed and go rant and raving, or I was going to, you know, there's a friend of ours that told us that the problem with the Black community is there's not enough role models except for athletes and entertainers, which rubbed me the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? I am, you know, I'm nobody to look up to, but I think that I have, you know, in my time, an educated, you know, man who runs a business that we're not far and few between. So our thought process was that we will showcase not just the musicians and the ball players, but people right in your community who are making a difference.
Yeah, and we want to showcase, you know, people that look just like you. If you know you with look like us, minorities that are also capable of being business entrepreneurs and just leaders of the community. And so, just to be that role model and showcase other role models, and that is the point of the show. To shed some light, to help you laugh, to help you inspire, bring hope, and bring different guests and educate you on money and family relationships, all the whole 9 yards. So if there's anything else or any other topics that you guys want to see, let us know that as well. So as we begin to come into the last few months of the year, you know, we want to strategize on what you guys want to see and bring you some more information on the show as well.
We want to give you guys some new, fresh, creative content. Why? Because it's about to get cold. What happens when it gets cold? Everybody locks themselves in the house and veg out.
What you gonna do? You gonna do some comedy? I thought you were gonna dance.
First of all, first comment. I'm always comedic. I mean, just my general nature is comedic.
Oh, we should have a comedy show one time.
Second of all, the dancing
How's that?
thing. First of all, that is not a topic to discuss on our podcast. That's some bedroom stuff. But anyway, yes,
he
doesn't
even know how to dance.
I'm not from the
You don't.
First of all,
We don't know how to dance.
If you're from Detroit, you are born with the innate ability to step. That's just, and you get a pair of gaiters when you turn 18. That is for anybody that is from Detroit, Michigan. You automatically know how to step, and you get you a pair of gaiters. I can go upstairs and pull out 4 or 5 pair of gaiters right now that I had to save up to get, but that's just a person from the beach. I digress. We're going off subject. But you guys will be locked in the house, and you'll be binge watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever. So if you're going to, be in the house anyway and binge watching stuff, go ahead and check us out. You know what I'm saying? We're live. We're people that you know who are relatable. So come check us out. Like I said, we've had a very good response, and we do appreciate that. But we can grow this even more. But like I said, the two things that I say before we get out of here, even though we do talk about the Black and Asian community, we're all in this together. So if you see
Yes.
someone in need of help, regardless of
Mhm.
what that help is, help someone else. That is the good thing to do. And then number 2, watch your 6. Okay, hey, it's some.
Watch your
I'm a
six.
yes. No,
Your sixth sense.
no,
Watch your
baby.
sixth
Military time. 12 o'clock is straight ahead. 6 o'clock is behind you. So when I say watch your 6, I mean don't let nobody come up behind you, hit you upside the head, and you wasn't watching.
Mhm.
So
I
watch
have
your
my sixth sense.
this 6 cents, 6 degree separation. I don't know what you're talking about. But listen, yeah, watch your 6. There's some craziness going on out here. Keep your eyes open. Don't just think, it's in this state or that state. Right in your own backyard. There's some insanity going on when you watch the news right now. So please watch your 6. Be safe out there. We'll see you guys next week.
Same time, same place.
No doubt. I'll holler at you. Peace out.
Black on.